Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to So You Think You're Iconic, the movie podcast where we're siding with the elephant.
We are.
We're siding with the elephant. If you don't know what we mean, too bad, because I'm not going to explain it to you because it sounds ridiculous.
It
just
does.
just know we're siding with the elephant.
Yes, we are. Because elephants are usually peaceful creatures, so whatever she did, she deserved it.
She deserved it.
And
She
I
deserved
stand by
it.
that.
100%, 150%, I'd stand by that. So, Kelly,
Yes.
how was your week?
Really busy.
Oh,
Very, very busy.
ooh, mine really wasn't, but go on.
Well, work wasn't the busy part. It was like everything else that was busy.
Mm,
Like we're doing a lot of stuff at home right now, like home renovation stuff and things like that. And it's oh my goodness, it's a lot. I haven't
fun.
been sleeping well.
I haven't been sleeping well either, but that's for a whole different reason.
Oh yikes. Okay.
So, as for me,
Yeah, what happened to you?
I'm not going to talk about this week. I'm going to talk about last week because we were supposed to record last week and we didn't. So last week
Mm-hmm.
I started like my first. I had like my first week of like on the job training.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous. I would learn something and then I would start working on something and then I'd finish it in like 30 minutes and then have nothing to do.
Oh, I feel that 100%.
And I was like, um, I have like 6 hours left. Like, what
Right.
do I do?
Right.
And then we take our lunch so early that like I'm like, why? Luckily, they usually let us go like anywhere from an hour to 30 minutes early,
Mm-hmm.
but still, like the days drag on.
Yeah. You're like, is this the actual task I was supposed to do? Or am I like super smart and like I need a new job?
And so I had a mixture of two things. I either had nothing to do or I
Mm-hmm.
had an obscene amount of stuff to do that would take me like 2 full days to do. I cannot go into detail because
Yeah.
I
Yes.
can be both fired and sued. I signed
Yes.
a lot of NDAs, a
Yeah.
lot. So I'm not going to go into detail. Just know I'm
Nope.
doing either nothing or way too much. There's no in between.
Yeah. So that could be any job on the planet, just
Yeah,
so everybody knows that. But yes,
yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah.
doing nothing or everything at
Or
once.
everything at once. And then I'm really scared because the people I'm training with who are going to go to our actual job location
Mm.
together, one of them takes a million years to do anything.
Oh, jeez.
Like he will have like the smallest amount of tasks and it'll take him like 2 hours to do. And then the other
Really?
one just doesn't seem that bright. So I not really looking forward to that, but it's fine. What's new? I've
What's
never
yeah, right. At this
like
point,
I've never worked somewhere that had like a fully competent like staff I was working with. So it's fine.
yeah. Jordan needs to pick better jobs in the
Oh my
future.
gosh, yes, I do. I thought
That's
this one was an ace in the hole, but uh has its downsides.
yeah,
People are people
yeah. I feel like that's like that at every job,
at every job.
and it makes me sad because you can never run away from it.
No. And also, last week we went to go see Jurassic World
Mm-hmm.
Dominion,
Yes, we did.
just so you all know which one we saw.
Yeah, which one it is?
The first like 30 minutes were so boring.
Yeah.
So like they tried to like introduce everyone and there's like a million people in the cast. So it took forever. But then like once, spoiler alert, even though when this has come out, the movie has been out for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Um, once like they kidnapped Maisie, like it started moving. And I was like, yes,
Oh yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
That's what it needed.
yes.
Like I will
Kidnapped
say
child.
the whole yeah, kidnap child, everything starts. I will say though, I'm gonna just say spoilers, but the beginning when they show Maisie going down from the cabin all the way into town and then it's silent the whole time and like she helps the dinosaurs, that
Mhm.
could have been cut.
That could have been cut. A
That could have been
lot could have
cut.
been cut actually, but that specifically could have been cut.
Also, what happened to the blue story? Not the blue, the beta storyline.
Oh, I swear that was left on the cutting room floor. Because
Oh
at one
yeah,
point, didn't I ask you where's Beta?
yeah. Where's
I
beta?
was like, where? Like, it's been like an hour. I was like, where's
Yeah,
Beta?
yeah. I think the beta storyline altogether is like a minute long, and we're
Yeah,
not even lying.
no, not kidding.
Yeah,
You see that little thing at the beginning,
yeah.
once in the middle, and then once again at the end. That's it.
Yes.
That's all you get.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
see,
So
you see the T-Rex longer than you see
you
Beta.
do. You do. Honestly,
It's really
you,
bad. And
you
then
probably see blue longer than beta at that point.
yeah, and then I'm not gonna lie. The whole cloning storyline they had going on was
Oh
awful.
yeah. Yeah.
Awful.
Yes. Can we just talk about the self insemination
Yeah,
thing?
how does that work? How does that
Because
work?
Maisie 100% could have been a test tube baby.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Or I forgot her mother slash former
Self.
selves of name. Um, she could have just adopted.
Yeah, she could have.
Like there's so
Maybe she just wanted to be pregnant.
who wants to be pregnant?
I don't.
Isn't that
Because
like
if
the
she just
worst
wanted
part?
to be exactly, if she just wanted to be a mother, she would have adopted. If she wanted a clone, she would have just had a test tube baby. But no, I think she legit just wanted to be pregnant.
Ew, who wants to be
Yeah.
pregnant? That's disgusting. I mean, I can't speak on that. I'm a man. I'll never be pregnant. But still.
No, but have you seen that girl on TikTok that has the whole list of like reasons why pregnancy sucks?
No, I have not.
And it's like a whole like note section, and then there's like I think now there's only like one thing on the pro list. Everything else is a con.
The pro is you get a baby. Like that's the only pro.
That's not even the pro. The pro is I think it's cute baby clothes. That's the only pro.
Not even her someone take that child.
Oh no, she doesn't have a kid.
Oh, thank God.
She just made the list.
Thank God. She should not have children. But yeah, overall, I think I gave the movie like a 2.5 on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Wasn't great, wasn't awful.
Yeah, it was very mid.
Oh, I gave it 3.
Yeah.
There we go. It was okay.
It was mid.
But yeah, between having to wake up every day at 6:30 to make it to my very long commute to work and then watching this movie, I exhausted.
Yeah.
Exhausted.
Yeah. Because that's how we ended the day.
Yeah, I had to drive an hour
Yeah.
to meet up with Kelley to see this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. We committed and it didn't pay off.
No. I mean, it was very hot that day, so I got to sit in a movie theater with air conditioning instead of going to my house.
That is
but then I went to my house and it was cooler than it was where we went to go watch the movie.
Yeah, it was. It was like a whole 10 degrees cooler.
It was a whole 10 degrees cooler. But yeah, I'm going to start working in San Francisco this week.
Nice.
And thank goodness, because it's going to be very hot this week. And in San Francisco,
the heat wave's coming back.
And in San Francisco, it's going to be like 10 degrees cooler than everywhere else. I'm ecstatic. Can't wait.
Happy for you.
And of course, I'm going to be working in a office, industrial air conditioning. Can't wait. It's going to be great. You know what else I can't wait for, Kelley?
What can't you wait for?
I can't wait to talk about Spy Kids.
Can I just tell everybody that when I suggested Spy Kids, Jordan and I were on the same wavelength.
Oh my God, I had literally added it to my list the day before. Like it was going to be one of my recommendations for movies to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were totally in sync with this. And I'm so glad we're doing it. So we start this movie by seeing the Cortez home that is literally on a cliff.
Oh my gosh, I have to tell you something. Like I've literally never noticed it before until I watched it for this podcast. So when they're like zooming in on the house, it's like midday outside.
Oh yeah, and they're
But,
going to bed.
but they're going to bed.
Yeah.
I was so confused. Like they like zoom, like they're all zoomed out, bright, sunny day.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
zoom into like Carmen's window or whoever's window that was. I think they share a room,
They
but like
share a bedroom.
they're too old for that, and that house is
Yeah.
too
Also,
big.
yeah, that house is way too big.
And so I was just like, wow, why are they getting ready for bed now? That's weird.
They need 13 hours of
They need
sleep.
13 hours of sleep.
That's the only explanation that makes sense. But yeah, Juni and Carmen are getting ready for bed, and Carmen asks her mom for a bedtime story about two spies who are in love. So we hear from Ingrid that the story is about two agents from two different countries. Which ones?
We never know.
um,
But
and
considering one of their names is Ombre, I think we know where at least one of them comes from.
exactly. Yes. And the lady has a mission to take out a man. And so like we see the whole like tracking him and whatever.
Yeah.
And we see a younger Ingrid tracks Gregorio. And the moment that she goes to take him out, like in the middle of a hotel hallway.
It wasn't even in a hall. Like she was in an elevator.
Yeah, she was about to get out.
She was about to get out of the elevator and like kill him. And then he like walked like to the elevator door.
Yeah. Turns out he's actually there to take her out too. Fine. It's very much Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
It's very Mr. and Mrs. Smith, even though this came out first.
Yes. This was the blueprint.
Yes.
Their love story was the blueprint. Somebody saw Spy Kids and they're like, I need to make a movie.
Let's make that adult.
Gregorio. Yes.
Let's make that adult.
Let's make it adult. Also, we do have an episode out on Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Wild ride.
It's just us thirsting the whole time.
Thirsting. I had to bleep out some stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
it got real naughty. It got bad.
Yes, it did. But instead of killing each other, they go their separate ways. And they end up falling in love and decide to get married.
How? That made no sense to me. I was like, how do you fall in love if you can't even be next to each other?
Exactly. They have dates like 3 tables away from one another.
Yeah. And I'm like, at that point, just sit together. Like, it's not a coincidence if y'all keep showing up at the exact same location.
Right. And sitting 2 tables away from one another and just staring at each other.
Also, let's go back to the kids, because while Carmen is being told the story, Juni is in the bathroom and he's putting like wart sauce on his fingers. I don't know what it's called. Wart medication.
Yeah, medication.
Sauce. Yeah, and I was like, oh, how do kids get warts? Juni has HPV.
Oh.
In this movie, they try to play it off. They're like, he gets it from sweating so much. No, Juni has HPV. Everyone, Juni, go get your HPV vaccine.
Yeah.
Please and thank you. You can get cancer. Please go get your HPV vaccine.
This is a PSA.
Yes.
This is a PSA.
Oh my gosh, the guy who plays Juni should do PSAs for HPV.
Imagine it comes full circle.
Yeah. He's like, hi, do you have warts on your fingers? Well, you have HPV.
Surprise! But anyway, during their wedding ceremony, like Ingrid gets cold feet and whatever, but she decides to go through with it anyway. And I don't know who's coming after them, but a bunch of helicopters show up to take them out during their wedding.
Yeah. And the
so
wedding looked beautiful.
The wedding did look beautiful.
Like gorgeous location, like on a cliff, beautiful ice sculptures. They had a lot of friends for spies.
They really did.
A lot of friends. That cake though looked horrid.
It did. It didn't look that great.
It did not look like a wedding cake.
It didn't. The food looked like it would have smacked though.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But they have to flee their wedding, and they decide to retire as agents and start a family.
Yeah.
At the end of the story, Ingrid puts the kids to bed and joins Gregorio in their bedroom. Gregorio doesn't like her telling their love story because that part of their lives are over now, and they just consult on like missions.
Yeah, I think they're just consultants now.
Okay, yeah. So Ingrid tells Gregorio how Carmen has been skipping school twice a month because she talked to their principal and she found this information out.
They don't ever bring this up to Carmen. They don't ever talk to her about it.
Yeah, they do.
At the end of the movie, Kelley.
Well, yes.
That does not count.
Happens.
The way my mom would have burst into my room screaming, cussing, I would have been whooped. I would have been grounded.
Yep.
Like, she's in elementary school.
Yes.
And she is skipping school. Where is she going?
Also, the fact that Ingrid only found out because she asked the principal herself about her kids.
Yeah.
The school didn't call and be like,
the school never called and was like, hey,
she
Juni's
didn't come
here,
to school today. Yeah.
I once got a call from a school I didn't even go to saying I missed school.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because you know how we went to private school, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know what happened, but the public school near my house called and was like, hey, Jordan hasn't been showing up.
What the heck?
I was not enrolled at that school at all.
What the heck? That is so weird.
That was so weird. I distinctly remember that happening and everyone laughing because it was ridiculous.
Yeah, what the heck? You weren't even enrolled.
Who enrolled me in school?
That must have been so funny. But yes, Carmen has been skipping school twice a month for however long.
Mm-hmm. And nothing has been brought up. No one has talked to Carmen. They can be arrested. Do they know that? Like, you can be arrested if your child does not go to school enough.
Yeah. You have to meet the minimum number of days.
Plus, like I said, she's in elementary school. Where is she going?
Yeah. What the heck?
And we later learned where she's going. And I really would have beat her ass. Like, it would have been bad. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for Juni, he doesn't have any friends, even though he keeps telling his parents that he does, which is a lot less severe than severe. Carmen.
Very sad, but a lot less severe. We need to talk about Carmen first. We need to deal with
Carmen's the bigger issue.
Yeah.
Ingrid says it's their fault, but Gregorio says that they have to keep secrets to keep the family safe. Ingrid then notices that he has some specific work on his computer
mirror thing. Yeah.
And she says that he's keeping secrets from her, but he's just like, don't worry about it. The next day, Juni and Carmen are doing their morning exercises, and Juni has some trouble with the monkey bars because of his sweaty hands. Mm-hmm. And Carmen kicks him off for taking too long, which is very much a sibling relationship deal.
Yes, except for the fact that she could have killed him.
Yes. Because I saw the safety net, but no.
They're like 20 feet in the air, and then the ground below them is like cobblestone.
Yeah, it's tile.
Tile, yes. Bad.
Yeah. And he bounces off the safety net.
And not like house tile, like outside tile.
Yeah. Like this is like it's like those houses that are built like a square. In the middle is like a little outdoory area.
Yeah.
It's uncovered. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what they're in.
He could have at the very least broken something, at the most died.
I'm surprised he didn't.
I'm surprised he didn't either.
Or at least cracked or something.
Because he landed like straight on his face.
Yeah, broken nose for sure.
Yeah.
After that, Ingrid and Gregorio, Ingrid finally finds out what Gregorio was hiding, which is that some of their OSS agents have gone missing.
Yeah, which is weird because I thought they were working for different agencies, but okay. Also, let me go back to the kids because Juni tries to murder Carmen as well. He throws like a 2-pound weight at her.
2-pound weight, yeah.
Like that could have cracked her skull.
Mhm.
If
It
he
doesn't
had
even
better,
matter. It
if he
doesn't
had
matter
better
how
aim.
hard he threw it either. It's 2 pounds
No,
coming at a child.
it could have killed her. Thank goodness he had such bad aim.
These siblings are cutthroat. I will just say
Cutthroat.
it's literally death or nothing.
In this house,
um,
survival is key.
yes, it is. So as they take the kids to school, Gregorio questions why Juni watches Floop's Fooglies all the time,
Mhm.
and I would too,
I
just
w-
because of the fact that it was very odd.
it's very weird. It gave me like Wow Wow Wubsy vibes. Something like my sister
Ooh,
used to watch that I thought was
yes,
weird too.
yes,
So,
yeah,
I wouldn't watch personally,
yeah. Me neither.
but I could understand why children would watch it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it.
Well, I could understand now. As a child, I wouldn't have understood,
Yeah,
but
no,
like
I
I can
wouldn't have
understand
watched it.
now because like people watch like Barney and
True.
Wow Wow Wubsy and do parents
Whatever
still
else
let
now.
do parent yeah whatever else now do people still allow their children to watch the menace that is Caillou? I don't think so, but
Well, Caillou just ended.
just
Same with
ended.
yeah, Caillou just ended, and so did what
How
was
did
the
it
other one?
just end? It was on when I was little.
No, I know. And Arthur just ended
I know
too.
Arthur just ended,
Yeah.
which shocked me because I did not even know it was still on.
Same, me neither.
but
But yeah.
but yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch Caillou, and neither was my sister because my mom thought that Caillou whined too much, which is true. He does whine too much. He would always be like,
Yeah.
Rosie, like all the time. It was so annoying.
So as they are watching it, Gregorio notices that one of the Fooglies kind of looks like one of their missing agents, which that was a leap in itself.
It was a very large leap.
So they drop the kids off at school, and Gregorio notices Juni being bullied and goes to say something when the bully's parent comes out, and they fight.
Uh-huh.
But they don't because it's all in Gregorio's head. And
Yeah.
Juni, who is watching, feels very defeated because his dad didn't stand up for him.
Uh-huh. He should have did something.
Yeah, he really should have.
Like you didn't have to like physically fight that man, but
Yeah.
you should have at least said something like, "Hey, tell your son to stop picking on my son."
Yeah. Yeah. He could have just been like, hey, noticed your son's not being nice to my kid. Just,
Knock it off.
yeah, knock it off. So at school, Carmen complains about taking care of Juni, and he hears kind of part of it, and he talks to his flute doll and says that he wished that he could join his world.
Carmen did that on purpose because there's
She did.
no way she didn't see him.
Oh,
like
yeah.
he was right there, like out in the
yeah.
like she saw him.
And she was talking so loud.
She was talking so loud. She probably did it on purpose.
She 100% did. She hates her brother, dude.
She hates him.
So Floop is at his shoe complex.
It's a castle. But
Is
I do want to see the blueprints because the outside is not matching the inside. Like
it doesn't. When you see the map later on, you're like, wait a minute.
What is this?
Yeah.
And then like it's huge.
But
then
huge.
when you see it on the outside, it looks like the size of like a lighthouse.
Yeah.
And then you go inside and there's like hallways and caverns
like,
and
there's more space width-wise than there should be.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Like they somehow have a factory in here that is, spoiler alert, creating hundreds of children. Where
yeah,
like I know they have like an underwater portion, but it didn't look that big.
Yeah, it didn't
when we saw it.
It literally just looked like water access. Like if you needed to like put something out into the ocean, then you would.
Yeah. I need an architect.
Yeah.
That helped me.
And they are holding a meeting about the mutated missing agents and Floop's thumb robots, which are these like his board of like trustees or something? Like, are these investors?
I would say investors.
Okay. The investors are not impressed with any of this. And he shows them something that they should be impressed with. which is a clone of Mr. Lisp's kid. That's a robot. And then another one of the president's child.
Yes.
Floop calls them spy kids, which I didn't know that they were called spy kids, by the way.
I didn't either. Wait, I thought Juni and Carmen were the spy kids.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Because
but yeah,
I literally watched the first 3 movies after that. Like I watched the second and the third one after this.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one, the program is called like Spy Kids. So I'm very confused.
Yeah, so Floop calls the robot kids spy kids, and then when Juni steals the necklace off of Robot Carmen later, it says spy kids on the tag.
Oh, okay.
And then it says what number that robot is.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess they're spy kids.
They're spy kids.
But the robots aren't finished yet because they don't have a brain. And so Mr. Lisp gives him 2 days to finish the project or the funding stops.
Mr. Lisp was so disappointed that these super strong, unassuming looking robots can't speak. Like that's his
That's
only
the one
right.
thing. Yeah,
he's
that's
like,
the
why
one
can't
thing.
they speak? And I'm like, why do they need to speak?
Yeah, they're children.
Like they're robots.
Also, they'll be killing people.
Yeah, like they're robots. You just program them to do what you want them to do, and they'll go do it. Like they don't need to speak.
Like it wouldn't be strange if like you saw a kid that wasn't talking. Like sometimes kids are just quiet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't need to communicate.
They don't need to speak.
Anyway. Back at home, Gregorio announces that he's going on a mission to find the missing agents, and Ingrid questions why he's getting involved after 9 years of being away, and then says that she wants to go with him.
Weirdo behavior.
Yeah, weird.
Like
she switched sides way too fast.
Like he's like, this is a dangerous mission, and she's like, cool, I'm coming with you. You have children.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
You have children. Like you haven't even taken your kids to school this morning.
Right.
You have children. Get your ass back in the house.
Right. Also, apparently your parenting sucks because your eldest is skipping school twice a month.
Yeah. Take some parenting classes.
I'll figure that out first. Gregorio says no because they have kids, obviously, and somebody needs to take care of them. But she whispers some nasty stuff in his ear or whatever, and then we see their Uncle Felix come to watch the kids because apparently now she's going on the mission.
Yep.
Ingrid and Gregorio prepare for their mission, and I don't know why Gregorio needs a fake little tiny mustache.
I don't either.
He does.
I don't either, Kelley.
And they prepare for their mission, and they take their submarine car thing and head to their destination and get info from Miss Gradenki.
Susan.
Yes. I hope I'm saying her name right.
Gradenko. Yeah.
Okay.
Miss Gradenko. You know, Susan from Desperate Housewives.
Yes. And she gives them some information, but as they get closer to their destination, the transmission gets scrambled, and instead get a message from Floop and find that they are being followed and eventually captured.
They could have went around that stuff.
They could have.
Also,
it kind of looked like they were being like beamed up in like an alien thing because of the bright light.
The light. But they could have went around it.
Yeah, they were small enough.
They were small enough to go around it.
At home, a red alert is sounded, and Felix jumps into action and gets the kids ready with their emergency backpacks and explains that he isn't their real uncle, but like a family protector. And
why did they have to go with that story?
Yeah, I don't know.
It made no sense.
Yeah. And he tells the kids that their parents are spies. Carmen and Juni are obviously confused, but are told to get into the pod and to go without him if he doesn't return from getting supplies. While getting supplies, the house is attacked, and Felix fights the assailants, which are obviously Thumb-Thumbs.
Obviously Thumb-Thumbs.
And tells the kids to go to the safe house without him and to let the OSS know that the third brain lives. Juni and Carmen leave in the pod and race away from the Thumb-Thumbs in their own boats, which, how are they driving a boat?
Yeah, how are they driving a boat? How did they know where their escape pod would come out of? Like, none of it made sense. Also, It was during this scene where I was like, you know what? I used to think Carmen was mean, but if I had to put up with Judy, I would also
Yeah.
I would also be a little mean because literally they get into the pod and she literally tells him to close the door and then press the blue button to close the door and then the green button to go. He immediately just presses the green button with the door open. And I was just like, are you
Yes.
an idiot? Like, what did she tell you?
Well, I will say though that the blue button was by her side.
Yes, the blue
So
look, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt with that one.
yeah,
But she did say to press the blue one first. But
that is true.
and then they like get everything closed. They're in like their little pod going through the water. And like they like come out the top wearing uh what do they call it? Life jackets.
Yes.
But then when they go back down, they don't have them.
Anyway.
But they're wearing their life jackets, and then he just keeps touching stuff.
Oh yeah, he can't stop touching things.
Immediately, I would have smacked him upside the head. Like it would have been on. Like we are about to die. Stop touching stuff.
Stop touching things, please.
But yeah, I understood in that moment why Carmen hates Juni as much. Because I would have left him. Like when he fell off the side of the thing, I would have left him.
She's like, oh, I guess I don't have a brother anymore.
I don't have a brother anymore. Oh, well.
Oh, well. So they race away from the Thumb Thumbs and eventually get the pod working with the autopilot. And it takes them automatically to the safe house. Ingrid and Gregorio are brought into Floop's like castle and relieved of all of their possessions. Then Juni and Carmen make it to a little shack on a tiny island, which I feel like is more obvious than if they found a smaller place in the city. But anyway.
Yeah. Like if someone comes across this, it'll be like, that's weird. And then when they go up to the door, it literally is like, name, please. Like that's weird.
Right. So once they get inside the safe house, they find that it's a fully renovated, like huge house, fully furnished and stocked with food.
These microwaves need to exist yesterday.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's what we should be working on instead of like flying cars and self-driving cars. Honestly, we need to be working on these microwaves.
Honestly. Like we had this idea for The Fifth Element.
Yeah. Give it to us now.
Yeah, we've had this idea. It's not new. We just need to put it in action.
Yeah. Come on, scientists.
Because I need it.
Yeah, I need it now.
Yes. Because come on now, I wouldn't go out as much.
If I could just throw in Taco Bell meals into my microwave,
you know what I'm saying?
That would be insane.
You know what I'm saying? And it's fresh and warm.
Yes.
And you're waiting like 30 seconds for
30 seconds?
Come on now.
Like Carmen got a Big Mac and some fries after pressing a button. Like I need that. I mean, not a Big Mac, not McDonald's, but you know.
Yeah. Unless I'm in a crisis.
Yeah, unless I'm having a mental breakdown or I'm violently hungover.
So Ingrid and Gregorio are put into a cell in the castle and bound, but they free themselves and search around the castle that does not match the outside interior. They go into the ritual room and find themselves trapped, but are let out into Floop's dining room.
On the table with food on it. And then he's like, let's eat, after they just fell all over the food.
Yes. Also, can I say, except for the Big Mac at the safe house, every other food in this movie looks inedible.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jell-O. A lot of Jell-O for some
things
reason.
that are green.
Yeah, a lot of green, a lot of like shaking, like gelatinous looking meal. It's
like I'm not gonna call it soup because it's thicker than soup.
Yeah,
but whatever it is, you eat it with a spoon.
It's not looking good.
Floop then tells them about the 4 missing agents that were part of the research team with the OSS that made a synthetic intelligence that was said to be destroyed. Floop then shows Felix, who was a part of that research team, and turns him into another character for his show.
It was kind of cute. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of cute. This one was cute. All the other ones are ugly. Like,
yeah, they're ugly.
Disgusting. Like Felix, whatever they turned Felix into was kind of cute.
It's the eyes.
It was the eyes. The cute little eyes. Yeah.
Why are we like this?
It kind of looked like a little baby, like rhino or something. It was very cute.
Gregoria then tries to say something, but is like ejected from the room.
Yeah.
When he tries to threaten
Floop. Drops a hole in the ground and he just goes through it.
Yeah. We then see Carmen and Juni back at the safe house getting dressed in their own spy gear and test out some of the stuff that they find. Is that from their backpack or is that from the safe house?
I was guessing it was from their backpacks.
Okay. Carmen then finds a picture of her dad and another man in a photo album and decides to keep it for some reason because she decides it's important.
Yeah.
And decides that they need to find the OSS and tell them everything when there's a knock at the door.
If there was a knock at the door of a safe house I was in, I would literally shit like all over the place. Like, that is frightening.
It is because it's a safe house and no one should know about it.
It's a safe house, seemingly in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And then there's a knock on the door. Absolutely not.
Right.
And I'm a child.
Also,
no.
Right. What are you gonna do? Also, can I say the security sucks for this safe house?
Oh, it's so bad.
Like, how were they able to get close enough to this island without something going off?
Yeah,
Proximity alert.
There should be like a proximity alert thing. There should be like a little section in the corner with like cameras. Mm-hmm. There shouldn't be a key.
No.
That's weird to me. Having a key to a safe house.
Also, the fact that like the peephole is this big.
Yeah,
it's like
huge.
The size of a small dinner plate. Like, why? But it is Miss Gradenko, yeah. Gradenko. And she's there with some other agents, and they enter the safe house saying that they work with their parents at the OSS, and that their last message was Floop. Miss Gradenko then shows them the evidence that Floop is a bad person. And Carmen tells them Felix's last message, which was about the third brain, as Juni accidentally exposes the synthetic brain.
Yeah, very easy to expose.
Oh, yeah.
All he did was knock over a picture frame, and then it was like,
and then put it, yeah, exactly. Also, the fact that you could see that there was clearly something there.
Yeah, the little ridges. Yeah.
Yes. Juni then sees the Thum-Thums with the crew and warns Carmen that they're working with Floop.
Why were they destroying the
pod
thing? Like, that didn't make any sense.
I have no idea.
Did they think that the kids were gonna run right past them and get in it and drive away?
Right. They don't even know what they're doing.
No, they're children.
These are 2 kids, exactly. Carmen then chases after the man who has the brain and is chased by some of the Thum-Thums, and Juni is left with Miss Gradenko and fights her and a couple of agents off.
Yeah, with a suitcase.
Carmen then gets rid of the thumbs chasing her and catches up to the man and takes it back as Juni realizes that he's been left behind.
Yeah.
Carmen comes back for Juni and they fly away to safety inside of a clothing store, which nobody notices.
No one noticed but like one little girl.
Yes.
And they were literally hovering there for like a good 20 seconds.
Yes.
And no one saw the flying thumbs.
But one of the clothing racks leaves the store, and when they go to chase it, find that it's empty. Carmen and Juni then get some new clothes and blend in with a couple on a bus to get away from the thumbs and the agent that was following them. Also, can I say, how did Miss Gradenko survive?
Oh no, she would have died.
Yes.
Or at the 100%. Very least had extreme scarring on her face.
Yeah. If there's anything worse than third-degree burns, she had it on her face.
Yes. like a jetpack, something strong enough to propel a human into the
Yes,
sky,
was
was
in her
burning her
face.
face, and all that happened was her hair caught on fire.
Right.
Mm,
I know this is a kids movie, but like,
come on.
come on. Um, so Floop is filming an episode for his show, but calls it
Okay,
cut.
okay. Kelly. Um, If You Dream My Dream is a bop, a
It
certified
is.
bop.
It really is,
Even though
though.
in the background, like, what the hell is happening? The song
Yeah.
itself, bop.
Whatever's going on, it's an acid trip.
Like, what was
But the song works.
like literally it was just like thumbs and like his little experiments like floating
Like,
on planets in the background
yeah.
while he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just
yeah.
singing his heart out like Celine Dion at her like Vegas residency,
Yes.
just singing his heart out while they were just like jiving and twerking in the background.
Yes. But he calls cut on the show and goes into like, I don't know, the production room.
I think that was the virtual room, was it not?
I think so, but like he goes into like another separate room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And he asks Mignon for help on his show to get like inspiration.
His name is Mignon. Oh, that was just
It,
Minion.
it is Mignon, but Floop says Mignon.
Mignon. Oh, French, love it.
Yes, love that. And he gets an update that the kids and the third brain have escaped, and that Mignon has sent 2 kids after Carmen and Juni, the two spy kids. The kids are now in San Diego at a park, and Carmen makes the connection that Machete is the man in the picture with her dad, and the same person that makes like the little spy gadgets that they have.
Yeah.
Carmen and Juni get into an argument, and Carmen walks away and finds Juni in front of her, but dressed in different clothing. And when she turns around, notices that there's a robot of her with Juni.
Yeah. I mentioned this earlier. How I said like I'm low key team Carmen, and I am. But when robot Juni like just sat there and had her beat herself up, I chuckled.
Oh yeah.
I chuckled. Karma.
But yeah, Carmen tries to fight back against robot Juni, but knocks herself out. And Juni is trapped on a merry-go-round that Carmen robot has sent spinning super fast, which like Juni should not survive. Yeah,
like,
Juni should
literally
not
should have sent him flying off.
Yes, it should have. But the robot gets the brain, and Juni grabs her necklace, and the 2 robots leave.
And then that little kid is like, "Yo quiero los zapatos," and I was like, "Same."
Yeah, same. Same. I felt that. Those shoes are pretty cool.
I wanted a pair of those shoes so bad. Do you remember when like the second movie came out and they actually did sell a pair?
Yes.
I tried to look for a photo, could not find them. I was so upset.
Oh, weird.
Tried to look them up, couldn't find them.
So is it too niche?
I guess it's too niche, but I distinctly remember them having like a limited edition pair of Spy Kid shoes.
Yeah. So the kids figure out that Floop is making kid armies and need the third brain to get like everything working. We then see Gregorio and Ingrid locked up again. And Gregorio explains that the third brain project was something that he was a part of. I think he created it, like essentially.
He was on he was like on the team that created it. I don't feel like he specifically created it.
Okay. But the project was scrapped and he was supposed to destroy it, but he didn't.
Yeah.
So this is all his fault.
Quick question.
Yes.
Why did he keep it if he didn't do anything with it?
Right.
He literally just kept it in his safe house. Why keep it?
Yeah, at that point.
Like that made absolutely no sense. Also, he smashed a like walnut in its place. Our national security is a joke. Like a complete joke.
Yes. If this doesn't prove it to you, then
how come the office I work in has better security than a government agency?
I don't know. That makes it so much more worse, though.
Like if I walked out of my office with one of our products, they would
Mhm.
notice.
Oh yeah,
So how is he getting away with this?
yeah. So Ingrid is upset because of all of the lies that Gregorio has been keeping from her. And Gregorio says that they need a plan. The kids then somehow end up at Machete's spy shop.
Yeah, how did they get there? They just
No
knew his
idea.
name. Like, how did
Yeah,
they find him?
right. And that their dad's best man runs the shop. Inside, Carmen shows that they need his help to get their parents back, but Machete says that he never wants to hear his brother's name again
Yeah,
because they've got beef.
yeah.
Or well, he has beef. I don't know if Gregorio has beef.
Someone has beef.
Yes.
Cow is being eaten somewhere.
Yes. Yes.
Also, it's so weird that he has the kids' names programmed at his shop.
Right. Like you hate your brother, but you have your niece's name as a password for your secret door.
Like he's like, who are you? And she's like, Carmen Elizabeth Florita Cortez. And then like everything opens. And I'm like,
yes,
that's weird. If you've never even met this man and he has your name programmed.
Something ain't adding up. So Floop back at the castle wants to get back to his show and says that he doesn't want any part of the like Spy Kids program anymore, and says that it was all Mignon's idea. I'm just gonna say Mignon. I hate it here.
No. Keep calling him Mignon. It's hilarious.
Because they do it in the movie, and then only later on does he call himself Minion. But Mignon turns on Floop once the robot Carmen and Juni arrive with the third brain, and Floop is taken to be locked up in the virtual room.
Right. Also, we see like all the other like world diplomats' children. Why do they all have children around the same age?
Right.
That's so strange. He's like, what the president's daughter, this senator's daughter, this person's son. And I'm like, why are they all the same age?
Right. They're all like 8 years old.
They're all like 8. So I'm like, are we living in a perfect world where all of our world leaders aren't 80 years old?
Exactly. No, or they are, and they have like 20-year-old wives.
They have like 20-year-old wives. Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to go with my first thought.
Yes, that's better. That's a better idea.
Yeah.
So back at the shop, Carmen and
a world
Juni...
where George Clooney eventually becomes the president of the United States.
Beautiful. They walk around like his back shop area and Machete explains that he and their father don't talk anymore because mostly he sells his products to like both sides, like Floop and like the good guys, I guess. Machete then takes them to the roof and shows them an airplane that they could potentially take, I guess, to save their parents.
They're kids.
Yeah.
He's like, you can take this.
But it's only big enough for one person. And explains that he's tired of taking care of his younger brother and that he's only looking out for himself now. And that's literally why there's no communication there. Carmen and Juni then try to convince him to go get their parents, but he says no. Carmen and Juni then spend the night at Machete's, and when he goes to bed, the kids sneak around and take the map of Floop's castle and other supplies. And in the morning, when Machete wakes up, they pilot the plane off of the building and go to Floop's.
Yep.
But
yep.
Yeah.
So many things had to happen in their favor.
Oh yeah.
He had to like just leave everything laying out for them. Including like the manual on how to fly.
Also the fact that Juni seemed to have understood whatever part of the manual he read.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how far away Machete's shop is to Floop's castle, but they're in the middle of like the desert.
It took me 3 days to like build my bed. So I just know he was confused while trying to figure out how to fly a plane.
Yeah. Also, a plane is super dangerous. Why are 2 children flying it?
I have no idea. Also, like planes have to like build up momentum before they can fly.
Mhm.
This one
That
just
was not a big,
levitates
yeah.
and flies
Yes.
off.
Yes. At Floops, the third brain is being replicated by Mignon and
Oh
put
my gosh.
into.
Oh my gosh. Also this.
Yes.
Are we gonna talk about how Minion literally created a matter synthesizer?
Oh, yes.
Like he made those brains out of nothing.
Yes. Out of thin air.
Like, wow, that's insane.
He's too good.
He is too good of a scientist. Like, that's insane. Like, literally, he was making these complex
Hmm.
brains capable
Yep.
of giving these robots intelligent thought out of
Hmm.
nothing.
Yep.
Like he was literally just pointing two sticks at each other,
Sticks together, and then
and
there's
then
like lightning, and then there
lightning,
was
and
a
then the
brain.
brain. Very Star Trek. Love that.
Oh my gosh, yes. Also, the fact that he is this smart to create something like that, why did he need Floop?
He was the guy that got the money. He needed someone to get him his money.
I guess.
He's the idea guy. And
Okay.
Floop is like the charmer. He charms everyone into getting the money while Minion's actually doing the real work.
Yeah, yeah. So Floop's the talker.
Mm-hmm.
He's the marketing man.
Floop just wanted to make his show for children for some
He
reason.
really did. That's all he wanted.
And Minion wants to take over the world.
Perfect friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So as they fly, Carmen comes up with a plan, but as she's talking, the plane starts to fail, and they fight and slowly destroy the plane. Um, but when they get close to the castle, they decide to exit the plane and swim to an underground entrance that is guarded by sleeping sharks.
Mm-hmm. Also, Juni finally gets a good punch in on Carmen.
Yes.
He calls her diaper ladies because she wears pull-ups to bed.
Yeah.
And Carmen was surprised that he knew. And I was like, you live together.
Yeah, you live together first off, and you share a bedroom. Yeah.
Like, of course he
How
knows
does he
you
not
wear
know?
pull-ups.
Right. Because I'm assuming y'all keep it in the bathroom that y'all share. So he's looking at them and being like, that's clearly not mine.
Yeah. He's actually very kind to not have brought it up earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Because all that smack she be taught, I would have brought it up.
Immediately.
And
I never would have stopped.
Nope.
And you do one of those, like, when her friends are around, you kind of like look at her and be like,
yeah, you start pulling up your pants a little bit. You're like, hey.
Yes. Anyone else need to go pee?
Yeah.
Anyone need to use the restroom?
Yeah. Carmen, you like to use the restroom, don't you?
Especially in the middle of the night, huh?
Yeah. Isn't it so nice when you wake up in the middle of the night to go use the bathroom?
Right. Isn't it nice waking up in a dry bed in the morning? I'm sorry, I should have waited for you to swallow.
That's what she said.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, Juni was way too kind.
Way too kind.
Because me being a younger sibling, I would have immediately, it would have been out.
Yeah, that would have been like my greatest weapon.
Oh, yes. And I would have honed it. So as they get closer to the underground entrance, Carmen fakes like the camera loop thing where you show a still image in front of a camera so like you can get by.
Yeah.
Whatever. And there's another camera, so Juni hides behind one of the sleeping sharks. As Carmen works to crack the code for the door, the sharks wake up, but they get in at the last minute.
Yep.
As Carmen and Juni make their way through the castle, Juni leaves the tiniest camera that Machete makes in the hallways so that they can have a view of anybody coming. They see the missing agents and some of the Thum-Thumbs coming their way. And so they hide up in the ceiling, and Juni like rappels down and questions Agent Donovan and find that their parents are being kept in the dungeon. Mm-hmm. When he goes to get more information, he rappels down and finds that the Thum-Thumbs are surrounding him. Carmen takes them out with an electric bubble, and the kids make their way to their parents. but have an army of robot kids on their trail. Carmen falls through the floor, which, how does that happen this time? Yeah.
How does that work?
The first time this happened, Gregorio was fine.
It was a glass floor. Or
it was
not
a glass
floor. But like
plexiglass?
Plexiglass? Yeah. Now the floor is actually gone.
Yeah, the floor is actually gone. And Juni ends up in the virtual room with Floop. And Juni decides to confront him. Ingrid and Gregorio are in like a lab procedure room when Minion comes in. And it turns out that he was part of the third brain project, but was kicked out by Gregorio.
Then wouldn't he know how to make a third brain?
You would think.
You would think.
I mean, he's able to create matter out of nothing. So.
Yeah. I feel like he should have been able to eventually work his way up to a third brain.
Exactly. Gregorio is then turned into Juni's Floop character that he drew by Minion. And Carmen ends up in the Thum room after her, 30-minute fall.
Yeah, for some reason, the Thums were a failure, but they're still mass producing them.
Yes. Also, the fact that it's a lady Thum because she has a painted nail.
She has a painted nail. And she's skinnier than the other ones.
She's skinnier. I hated that. Minion then gives an update to Mr. Lisp, who is on their way to the castle, and it shows that Miss Gardenko. I don't know why I have such a hard time with her name. Yeah. Gardenko is with him, and somehow didn't shave her head the minute that she saw herself in a mirror.
No, she just kept it how it was.
Yeah, that's a statement. In the virtual room, exist. Yeah, they do. Maybe not good ones back then, but there would have been a passable one.
Good enough. Yeah.
Floop gives up all the details on Minion, and Juni goes to set him free and says if he'll help them stop Minion, then he'll let him go. But before he can do that, Floop asks what can be improved on his show, because he's still thinking about that.
He's still thinking about this damn show.
And Juni says it needs children.
What's wrong? What it needs is to get rid of all that weird CGI.
Yes.
That's what it really needs.
It needs a revamp.
Yeah. It needs to pull Blue's Clues, when they got a new set, a new guy. They need to do that. They do. Full revamp.
Juni and Floop then leave the virtual room, and when Juni sees a thumb, attacks it, but finds out that it's actually Carmen. Ingrid is then in her cell all alone when the kids and Floop arrive, and she notices them, and Juni finds that their dad has been transformed into his Foogly character.
Yeah, she just looks like a gingerbread man.
I love that you stuttered.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it.
We're not going to talk
about it. Carmen then starts to confess to her mom about her skipping school and everything. And they kind of make up.
Even though Carmen tells her mom that she ran away to Belize. And I'm like, how?
How did she make it that far?
How were you gone to a whole different country and no one noticed?
Right. For how long? Was it just a day?
Was it just a day? Did you fly there and then immediately be like, fly back. I don't know what I'm doing, and then fly back?
Exactly. I just need to know.
How did you get on a plane?
By herself, right?
By herself. I mean, I know this is probably pre 9/11, but still.
I was actually looking it up, so I know. It came out in 2001. I just don't know when.
So it's pre 9/11, when they filmed it.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I want to know, though. Sorry, 2 seconds. It doesn't say.
You can't find the day it came out?
No, it literally just says 01. Oh, March 1801.
Weird. Mine says March 30th.
Wait a minute. What? Are we in different universes right now?
Literally on Wikipedia, it says March 30th.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
Because mine's is the 18th. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, Carmen and her mom make up, and Floop says that he can possibly change their dad back to his original looks. Mr. Lisp and the
It came out March 30th. Even IMDb says March 30th.
Okay, so I don't know why I got March 18th, but anyway. And the investors show up, and before Minion can say anything, Floop calls him down to the lab. And Mr. Lisp is confused because Minion said that Floop was gone. Mm-hmm. In the lab, it turns out that it's Juni who is mimicking Floop, and the rest of his family and Floop strap him to one of the tables and threaten him with turning him into like a horrid creature. But he voluntarily turns himself into it.
Yeah.
Because he says it's possibly reversible.
But then he somehow still has the ability to speak.
Yes.
Which makes no sense.
It doesn't.
Everyone else who's gone through it is like speaking backwards.
Yeah, they speak backwards.
But he comes out perfectly fine. Vocal cords intact.
He's built different. So Floop and the kids then make it to the control room and find that and their parents get taken captive by the robot selves.
Yes.
Like Carmen and Juni. While in the control room, Floop has no idea how to reprogram the kids, but Carmen says that they just need to override the programming as both of them decide to go and help their parents.
Yeah.
They see their parents chained and like taken up somewhere, and they have to fight their robot selves. Gregorio and Ingrid.
When Carmen says, "Oh, shiitake mushrooms," that was genius writing.
Oh yeah.
Genius writing. That stuck with me as a child. I remember that to this day. Genius writing.
Carmen, Gregorio and Ingrid end up in the meeting room with Mr. Lisp and his men, Minion and Miss Gridenko. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I did it. You did. Carmen and Juni then almost fight off the robot selves, but they're a lot weaker. So they restrain them, but they break out, so they run away.
Yeah.
As they run to help their parents, and the robot kid army is summoned. The family ends up together as the army arrives, and Gregorio comes up with a plan that needs 5 people.
That plan was so dumb.
As Machete shows up, crashing through a window to help them out.
I'm going to tell you guys what the plan was.
Yes.
So there are 500 of these robot children. Mm-hmm. His plan was that they would each get 100 children to fight.
I love the fact that Carmen and Juni just were okay, that's fine. Yeah. When they can't even fight off one of them.
They knew they couldn't fight them. They were like, yep, we can do this. Even Juni was even we need one more person. And I was like, really, Juni? One person?
Just one.
One person with a bazooka, maybe.
Which he just showed up with none of his spy tech, by the way.
Nothing. He just jumped through that window and was by his lonesome.
So Lisp gives the order to kill the Cortez family as Luke finally overrides the kids' programming, and instead they attack Minion, Miss Gridenko, and Lisp. Gregorio then asks why his brother came to help, and he decided to finally let everything go, and they make up.
Yay.
Floop shows up and Juni asks what he did to reprogram the bots, and he tells them that he made them pure of heart and mind. Ingrid and Gregorio then confess to the kids that they are secret agents, and the kids confess that they are as well.
Even though they're not.
Back at home, we see that the robot kids are helping out around the world with disasters.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone was just watching TV and they saw their child,
their kid,
doing one of these random acts of kindness.
Yeah.
And they're sitting right next to them at the breakfast table. They're like, what?
Also the fact that there's world leaders kids out there.
Yeah.
Like, how is that not like a security thing?
Yeah, how is that not ringing off a lot of red flags?
One of the thumbs has joined the family.
Yes. It's a chef.
It's a chef, apparently. And Machete is there with the family as well. Juni is starting to watch Flute as they get a broadcast.
Yeah, to their TV. Their TV. Not to everyone's TV, just theirs.
Yeah, from Devlin with a mission, not for the parents, but for Carmen and Juni.
Devlin is the director of the OSS, by the way.
Yes, he is, sorry. But Carmen says that they'll only accept if the whole family is involved.
Which makes no sense. That's not how missions work.
No.
Okay.
And that's where the movie ends.
That's where the movie ends.
Are you ready for some movie facts?
Yes, I am.
So this movie was shot over a period of 10 weeks.
That's it?
That's it.
Wow.
I know. When I saw that, I was like, that can't be real.
That's insane.
10 weeks only. Do you want to guess who auditioned to play Carmen Cortez? They are both Marvel ladies.
There's Latina Marvel ladies that are around the same age as Alexa Penavega.
They are not Latina.
Oh, gross. It was one of them Scarlett Johansson.
No. God, no.
I would have like, it started young. Brie, what's her name? Brie Larson, is that her name?
Yes, that is one of them.
From what I've heard, Brie Larson has auditioned for literally every movie on the planet.
Yes.
Natalie Portman?
No.
Who else is in Marvel? That's a woman. That's not like way too young.
Come on, I'm gonna give you a hint. We just saw her in a movie. We loved her.
Just saw her in a movie.
Mm-hmm. A new Marvel movie.
What new Marvel movie came out that had a woman in it? What's the last Marvel movie I saw?
Jordan.
Miss Wanda?
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
Mommy Wanda.
Absolutely not.
Oh,
but
yes. Yeah.
Queen.
Yeah, she auditioned to play Carmen Cortez.
I blame her mother. I don't blame her. I blame her mother.
That makes sense.
Our Queen Elizabeth would never do that.
George Clooney was wearing pajamas during his appearance in the movie.
Love that for him.
Love that for him.
I'm wearing pajamas
working in comfort
right
now. The characters in the film, Gregorio, Carmen, and Juni, are named after family members of Robert Rodriguez, who directed the movie. Also, I know like Carmen says her name really fast in the movie, but here is Carmen's official full name.
I know it's Carmen Elizabeth Juanita something, and then I'd like lose it every time.
It's Carmen Elizabeth Juanita Echo Sky Brava Cortez. The DVD captioning for the movie, for some reason, instead of Echo Sky, it says Costa.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So that is the full name of Carmen.
Good job, Carmen.
Good for her. And so, Jordan, here is the question.
Yeah.
Iconic or not?
Well, I'm kidding. Yes.
This
This movie almost single-handedly like shaped my personality. I was an empty shell of a person before I watched this movie.
You were not fully formed.
I was not fully formed. And then I watched this movie and I became a whole person. Also, right after I watched this movie, I watched the second and the third one.
Oh, yeah.
It took me a couple of days to get through the third one, but the second one I watched.
Yeah, the third one is when it started getting weird.
It got very weird in the third one.
Yeah.
Also, the third one kind of like ends abruptly.
It does.
It ends very abruptly.
It does.
But the first one and the second one, certified hits.
Yeah.
Certified hits. We
Those
don't
are
talk
tops.
about the fourth one.
No. What fourth one?
There is no fourth one.
Exactly. But yeah, totally iconic. I mean, I still remember like when 3D was becoming a really big thing, and like the second and third Spy Kids movie came out, and like that was the movie to see with the 3D.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I can still remember the like commercials and advertisements. Like I can still remember them in my head.
What a time to be alive.
3D movies, y'all.
They don't have live action kid movies like this anymore.
They don't. They really don't. Spy Kids was the pinnacle.
Now they're just throwing everything to be animated for children. Children need some live action stuff too.
Yeah. Also, can we stop doing reboots of kids' movies for like kids today?
Yeah.
No more, please.
Like that fourth Spy Kids movie that doesn't exist did not need to ever happen.
It did not.
I saw it in theaters.
Did you?
Let me tell you about that. That was weird. We took my little sister and they tried to sell it as a 4D movie. So like 3D glasses, and then they gave you like this little card where at certain parts of the movie, like a number would come up, and you would have to scratch that area of the card so you could smell whatever they wanted you to smell. It was ridiculous.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then just the movie overall was bad, but that was awful.
Oh, that is weird.
Bad.
So, what are your recommendations for this week?
I have two. My first one is Just Friends (Sunny) by Music Soul Child. Love that song. And then my second one is Come Clean by Hilary Duff. So when I was at work, bored off of my mind, this song came on and I started levitating. I was 5 feet in the air. Everyone was staring at me, but I was having a spiritual moment.
He was having a Vecna moment.
And then the song ended and I just gradually came down and I felt at peace. I was like, I'm no longer bored.
Right.
I was like,
my life is perfect.
My life is perfect in this moment.
Yeah.
So
I love that for you.
Great. What about you?
I have two recommendations as well. My first is an album called Summer in Between by Eloise. Well, it's more like an EP. There's like 8 or 7 songs on it, but so good. It's a post-breakup album. Ooh. Whoever hurt you, Eloise, you made your bag for this. Like, the songs are so good. Like, I'm sorry you went through whatever you went through to make these songs. They're so good, and I am grateful for you.
That's how I feel about Lemonade by Beyonce. I'm like, oh, this man put you through some stuff, but thank you for the music.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God you decided to put your energy into music.
Yeah. I mean, I would have killed him, but you...
Exactly. You rose above.
You rose above.
Yes. And my second recommendation is a song, I Won't Fall to Your Love by Nick Moore. So good. I love it. And that's it for me.
Oh, great. Thank you. Well, thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow us on our social media. We have a Twitter and an Instagram. They're both at SYTYI Podcast. You can also send us your movie requests or send us a movie story. Were you one of the kids playing a spy kid in this movie?
Yes.
Let us know. What was that like? Did you get to keep the shoes? Let us know.
Right.
Oh, also, if you have some Spy Kid shoes, please send us some pictures. I want to see what they look like. Yes, I'm pretty sure they were ugly. I'm pretty sure they were probably ugly. But just send them over anyway. Thanks. At sytyi podcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to share us with your friends and your family. Subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Anchor, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and give us 5 stars.
Thank you.
Continue to wear your mask, wash your hands, get boosted, all that fun stuff. for COVID because COVID is still alive and
Yes.
unfortunately thriving. Uh, so yeah, also stay iconic.
Stay iconic, y'all.
Bye.